We're now going to move on to the most controversial. If you're watching this, you're probably watching this to hear both of our point of views on episode 8.
Yeah.
Sorry for upsetting any of the extreme haters out there. I don't think neither of us hate the movie. I was disappointed with the movie. You were not disappointed with the movie.
I love the movie. If I may, let me go take lead on this one.
Take lead, and I'll do follow up. I'll make myself a drink.
I love The Last Jedi. Unequivocally, it is my favorite of these 3 movies, and I think that it gave me the only avenue that these movies could have taken after the reboot that happened in The Force Awakens. You get the immediate after effects of these life-changing moments. The New Republic is destroyed. They're back to a ragtag band on the run. Only the problem is the Empire is ready. The Empire wants to kill them, and they're ready to snuff them out. And the rebels are doing what they've always done. They're putting up a good fight and just are on the run. Rey has left to find Luke. She's found him. Luke didn't want to be found. Luke doesn't care that he's getting the call to action again that heroes do. He's done with it. He's like, I screwed up, and I don't know if I can live up to what I was in the past, which is cool.
Yeah.
I didn't want Luke Skywalker after the framework of he ran off and after the framework of Luke or of Han was off on his own. I didn't want Luke to be like, yeah, I'm only here to be stronger, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to whip the shit out of everybody. I wanted Luke to be like, hey, if Han's dead, I even more don't want to go back because I did that. I'm the reason his son is so conflicted. All of that building around this horrible thing, this real life thing of Carrie Fisher being dead by the time this movie comes out. So you don't know what's going to happen with this. Is this movie going to end with her dying? Is anything going to happen? So the thing that people hate the most, that bothers me, of people saying the Mary Poppins scene with Leia is so stupid. And I don't believe any of these people would be saying, oh, it was a Mary Poppins moment if Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 hadn't come out. Because none of them would have said Mary Poppins if Yondu hadn't said, I'm Mary Poppins. It's like, okay, I see where you guys are coming from, you nerds. But you're trying to tell me, and I'm going to defend this moment, which is the most reviled moment to some people. You're going to tell me that the daughter of Darth Vader does not have innate force powers and is not able to do a force pull, because in the vacuum of space, a force pull would pull you like that.
Yeah.
So it's like, get over yourselves. It was a neat moment, and I was destroyed in the theater when that happened because Kylo's missiles hit and she gets sucked out, and I just remember sitting there. I'm very sad now because I just realized
my jaw dropped. Dropped.
For some people that are watching this, Jen, your wife, knows, but I watched this movie with Brian Burnham. It was he and I alone in a theater watching this, and Brian passed away about a month ago. And it just hit me now that I watched this movie with my friend who is dead. And speaking in this context is really just hit me like that. Anyways, she got sucked out, and I was like, fuck, they just owned it. She's dead.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not ready to deal with this.
I'm right there with you. I didn't know what to expect in number 8. I was busy with my own life. I was doing a lot of things. So I didn't really I'd seen the trailers. I walked in going we're going to find out who Rey is, why Luke's hiding. And I'm sure there's going to be a lightsaber battle. It's the middle one. So expect the Empire to win, buddy. That was all I had going into this. And then Carrie Fisher died. And then man, it's so well filmed. Kylo Ren of realizing his mother's in there and him grabbing the handles, and you see it in his face. Adam Driver's just an amazing actor.
Yeah.
And him shooting it. And I was like, we just saw you kill Han. And in 15 minutes in this, you're going to kill Leia. And I was just like, man. So I think people being mad about the Mary Poppins moment, her flying back into the ship was, there were a lot of people were having a lot of emotions about it. I would say that's my
But then
defense
why
of
not be
them.
happy? And I will say, then why not be happy? Because it it happened. He flew off, and I was like sitting there like, Leia's dead. Like Leia is dead. Carrie Fisher is dead. They owned this moment
Yeah,
and decided, let's just get rid of her. It cut to her like floating and plays that really somber version on the piano of her theme. And I went, oh shit. Because I was like, she's not dead. And then like her eyes open and I had never been that like thrilled in Force Awakens. So like
hmm
her pulling herself in gave me that other anxiety that I had throughout Force Awakens, where I was like, okay, they had a way to write Carrie Fisher out and chose not to. She must have some shit going on. Like, what else does this movie have in store to it for us if she still has so much importance in this movie that they didn't take that avenue out of killing her?
yeah, either
And
this one or the next one. Like she's
yeah,
got to play the most important plot point or a major one.
and so that's why I think I admire the balls on Ryan Johnson. Ryan, let's get this out of the way. I think he is an amazing filmmaker. I love Brick. I love Looper. I still have never seen Brothers Bloom, but people swear by it. I like his Breaking Bads. I love him as a writer and director. I love Knives Out. I think it's so funny that I agree with everyone who says, "Man, that Ryan Johnson boycott sure panned out. You guys hated him so much that he went and made the most critically acclaimed movie a year later. How's that boycott doing, guys?"
Um,
But it gets to the end and they decide to kill Luke. And it's like, okay, this is balls. Like you could have refocused your entire movie and you could have had it be Luke comes back because Leia is dead. But you don't, because you have conviction in the story that you've written and the plan that you're going to go towards, that I was like, this is amazing. Like I cannot wait to see what is going to happen from here. The most excited I got in the movie was at the end when Luke shows up and has his moment with Leia, and the sadness that they only have that one scene, the same way that Han and Leia only have that one scene in Force Awakens. But it was such a beautiful scene. The callback to her hair, where Han's like, "You changed your hair," and he's like, "Leia," and she's like, "I know, I changed my hair." Was like, okay, that's fucking funny. Like that is a good joke that you're paying off from Force Awakens, and kind of shatters so many people's preconceptions of like they didn't work off of each other and they didn't know what was going on. The fact that that joke is there is like, okay, you're respecting what's come before and you're trying to build off it. But I thought it would have been so amazing if it gets to the end, Luke says, I'm going to go and face him, and he steps out and there's all those AT-AT walkers out there. If that moment was when they cut to credits and that was the end of it, like I was ready for it to like
that's
pop up and I was like, this is how he's going to end it. This is insane. But then like the rest of the movie happened. Luke died. And Luke's death didn't hit me so much as Han's did because of the nature of the world. Luke dies, you know he's going to be a ghost in the next one. There's no way he's not gonna. So this isn't the last you've seen of him, and I want to see where it's going from here. And so I
it.
left the movie very hopeful, and I left the movie not disliking a lot of it like other people do. A lot of people do not like the casino planet,
I
and
don't. I don't.
I think that it serves an important purpose. It's not, to me, it is not just a detour out for no reason, uh, to just give these characters something to do. It shows that the reason nobody answered the call for help, the reason nobody is around, and it's just the resistance and the first order, is because people don't give a shit. People are profiteering off this war, and they're off on a casino planet because they're like, either we're in this battle or we're profiting from it. And I thought that was an interesting way to show that.
Mhm.
You didn't get too much detail on that. You basically get told these people are profiting off it. If you found out, if they met a character and that character said, "No, I'm not going to help you," and they're like, "Why not?" And he's like, "Because I'm making money off that war, and the First Order told me they're not going to come after this planet as long as I keep supplying them money. If a character said that, I think the sequence would be better. But you're told by Benicio del Toro's character
I was
that
about to say they kind of have a character tell them that. Yeah, the Benicio del Toro, which is the scoundrel who's not a good guy.
no. And but that's the thing. Like he says that in just this blunt exposition where he's like, the reason nobody cares is this.
Mm-hmm.
But imagine if like a character of importance, like they're like, you need to go meet this code breaker. And if they do meet the code breaker and the code breaker is like, I can do that, but I'm not going to because I make money off of breaking codes for the resistance, breaking codes for the first order. It doesn't matter. My money comes to me from one of them and I like the war. I like the Star Wars. And then I could have been like, he said it.
Ah!
But so I think that there's even a point in there. Now, the problem I will say, and I will totally poke holes in my love of The Last Jedi, it's that plot device that you and I have made fun of before, where here are the resistance ships flying away. Here's the First Order coming for them. This ship's going to go and have an adventure and then come all the way back and then it's still going to be a thing. It's like, come on, like find a way to make that more interesting. You're going to introduce hyperspace tracking and the fact that you cannot run from them.
There's a tether. There's an
but not explain
tether.
what it is.
Yep.
Like explain what that tether is. And that's the problem. But the idea that it's like, hey, I'm stuck in a hole. I need to go home and grab a rope so I can climb out of this hole is basically what they did. It was like, we need to go find a code breaker, but we're on the run. Okay. So we're going to run over here and then come back. And then it's like that's a weird plot point. And I feel like they could have changed it. They could have made it better, but I will say this in terms of Disney, because people like to argue about Disney and Kathleen Kennedy and the making of these films. The Last Jedi was written and the script was done by the time Force Awakens came out. Rian Johnson was on set. Rian Johnson was working hand in hand with J.J. Abrams, and J.J. Abrams was adamant that he was not coming back to do 8 or 9. They announced that Colin Trevorrow, who did Jurassic World, was making 9, and I was ambivalent at best to that because I did not like Jurassic World.
Yeah.
But The Last Jedi is the only Star Wars movie to come in under budget, on time, and be ready for release months before it needed to be. And I think that shows what a filmmaker Rian Johnson is and the faith that they had in the movies. The problem you have then is that Carrie Fisher died and you couldn't do what you wanted to do with episode 9 with Colin Trevorrow, and they had to decide what they wanted to do. So J.J. Abrams is announced to come back to make episode 9. J.J. Abrams is announced to come back to make episode 9 2 months before The Last Jedi comes out. J.J. Abrams made the conscious choice to make episode 9 be what it is.
Yeah.
And did not give Rian Johnson the courtesy that he did for 7 when they were making it. So 9 had to become what it became. And I don't think we'll ever find out why or how it became what it became. But it feels like so many conscious decisions of 9 are there because J.J. Abrams set up a universe, then knew he was leaving it, but then decided he didn't like where it went and was like, I'm just going to do my ideas for this no matter what the middle guy did because of circumstance. I don't think he did it out of spite. I think he did it because it was like, hey, I'm just going to do what I wanted to do originally, middle movie be damned. And I feel like that is very inconsiderate to the fans and to Rian Johnson. But again, Rian Johnson doesn't give a shit. He's still signed on to make 3 more Star Wars movies. Who knows if they're ever going to happen? He made one of the best movies of the last 10 years in Knives Out. So he's fine. I don't need to defend him. He's an okay dude. He's going to survive. J.J. Abrams is going to survive with whatever he does. This product is going to survive. But I can only imagine what episode 9 would have been had Carrie Fisher not died. And also, had they had a plan for these 3 movies and not just a very broad outline.
I am not one of the people that just hates episode 8. I have serious issues with it. And out of the 3, God man, it will go back and forth with episode 9 sometimes of being my least favorite. Episode 9 I probably will be my least favorite out of the 3. And I'll say this, if episode 8 had been episode 10, everybody would be talking about how Rian Johnson is a genius.
Yeah.
It's because it's so different. He did what I was hoping episode 7 would do, which is he injected the steroids into this corpse, which is like everybody, there's force all around. There's people all around that are profiting about this. There are good guys and there are bad guys. No one has a plan. All of these things kind of like come out in The Last Jedi. And he has some beautiful, rich ideas. The problem is he followed episode 7.
Yeah.
Which set up a world and guidelines, and I understand that they work together, and I could have a video of J.J. Abrams and Rian Johnson holding hands saying, James, we both agreed that this should happen, and I would never believe them. I would never believe them. It really felt like, I believe in the script for A Force Awakens, Luke looks at the lightsaber and says, he looks at it and then looks at Rey, knowing things have put in motion that cannot be stopped.
Yeah.
That's the actual lines from the script. And then in Rian Johnson's, he throws it over his shoulder and walks away. Right there. So I thought, because I am super gullible, I thought, wow, he knows something's in motion and he threw it over his shoulder. So this is going to be a big payoff about like that. No. And basically everything they had set up in Force Awakens gets pissed on in The Last Jedi. Don't worry.
See, I don't feel that way. I want to hear why you say that, but I want to bring up one other thing before
Okay.
we get into that moment. The thing I love most about it is that it is propelling Star Wars into a new storytelling paradigm, but on the foundation of the first 3 movies, not the prequels, the first 3 movies. The entire arc of Kylo Ren is built upon Obi-Wan's line of what I told you was true from a certain point of view.
Yeah.
Kylo Ren believes Luke was going to kill him. Yeah. Luke was like thinking of killing him. The Luke thing from Return of the Jedi. I'm going to kill him. Wait, let me think about this. This is not the way to handle it. But Kylo saw him, and that changed everything. And it's all based on that. And I thought it was bold that they brought in flashback to this and not had it just be a straightforward. This is the first movie that had any kind of like nonlinear storytelling to it. And I enjoyed that. But it respected it enough to make the entirety of this trilogy be because someone misinterpreted someone's actions. And I love that. And I love that that's what he decided to do with it.
I'll say this, 8 and 9 are 2 films that have moments, scenes, and concepts that I love in both. There is no movie out of these 3 that I'm like, oh, there's no episode 2 here. Where it's like, oh, there was a good sound effect, and that was it. Episode 8 should have been episode 10. Rian Johnson, as soon as you sat down with Rian Johnson, he started shooting out his crazy ideas. And I will say crazy because J.J. Abrams' ideas were so safe. You should have been like, cool. Hey, can we sign you to 2022? Like, can we sign you 8 years out? Because we just did a movie that's nothing but fan service and rehashing the story because we're trying to build a 30-year franchise, and we got to start back from, the first block because of episode 1, 2, and 3. And we need to get a whole new generation excited about what Star Wars can be. And your ideas are not dumb ideas. They're not shitty ideas. They're actually brilliant, but they're not going to fit into this one. And somebody should have said that, or they should have said 7 was for the fans. here's 8 and 9, and we're gonna go crazy, and then even crazier. And
Yeah.
it's like we didn't. And so that's a shame. So the things I love about episode 8, absolutely love. I love Kylo Ren. I love Rey. I think Finn is horribly misused. I think Rose is the worst introduction to a character you could ever do. And I know I'll get hate on this. So we've got a fantasy sci-fi adventure that is the good guys versus the bad guys, and we're going to introduce that the good guys have barracks for cowards running away. Okay, so people that are scared to go into battle, the rebels are locking up. And I was like, I hadn't even thought of that topic in this universe. Han Solo left after he got his money. Nobody locked him up. Would there be bears? Sure, there would. The fact that I hadn't thought about that made me stop. There were bombs dropped in space with no gravity, and I accepted that shit. I was like, who
You
cares?
accepted that in Empire Strikes Back?
I accepted that in Everybody's Back. I
Okay,
accepted it here.
good. So
Because
don't say that it's
yeah,
some kind of
but people
precedence.
were like mad about it, and I was like, there's no oxygen in space. There's no fire. There's
You
no
also know there's
noise.
sound.
There's no sound in space, you monkeys.
You know what
So
else? There's no space magic.
yeah. So I like for me, I didn't care about any of that. I thought that was cool. Poe trying to be Poe, get in there and I'm gonna shoot him. I'm not waiting for anybody to tell me what's what. I'm gonna shoot first and ask questions later. And I was like, wow, that's our Poe. And then we see Rose, and she's introduced, and she's there to imprison anybody who's trying to flee. And I was like that, for one, you got to understand, for me, it took me right out of the movie for a second. I was like, so they're going to introduce real life politics into this. And so now the rebels are not the good guys. Like the rebels are just guys.
See, I never took it like that. Because she says something about deserters, and I think it was more of like people who were trying to hightail it out of there on a ship that could have been used for the fight. And I think
Okay.
that was the problem, is that it was weakening the already weak fleet. I
Okay.
get what you're saying, but that needed a little bit more to it, and it's weird. It's a weird choice.
Yeah. And so we didn't get introduced to her as being a cool space pilot, or she is the best at coding. She's an ultimate spy. Nope. She jails the people that are too scared to fight. And I was
But
like,
she is an engineer, they said.
okay.
And yeah,
I
I'm not going to disagree.
No, I don't even remember that, but okay. Um, so I already was kind of like, and so I think that already sets up for failure. Then her and Finn's mission is, I think, what we call a comedy of errors, in which they go out to accomplish a mission. They do not accomplish the mission, and everything they accomplish has nothing to do with the story. So pointless.
That I don't agree with as well.
Okay. And we're given information that I find is important later about people profiting off this and stuff like that, but I did not feel that way. Meanwhile, our plot A is a slow spaceship race going at like 30 miles an hour in space. For
But
anybody's,
cool.
there
I
was
thought it
cool
was cool.
there was cool moments, but the fact that they're slowly chasing each other, there was a lot of like depressing and bad moments. Star Wars, if you go back to 4, 5, and 6, all of our heroes barely accomplish their mission. By the skin of their teeth does the ship make it out and everything blow up. Literally, there's a scene in Empire where they're hiding out in an asteroid, and they have to leave the asteroid because it's a giant worm that's about to chomp them right as they're leaving. Like everything that is accomplished in them. And so in this movie, the main plot has a slow space speed chase. So that was very much like, oh, that was a rough one. And then we have ships that are running out of gas. that keep dying. We have a very cool speech early on between Leia and Poe, which is her putting him in his place, which I totally dug, which was like, you can't go in there shooting first. We have our chain of command. You want to be a rogue cowboy, you need to knock it off. And you needed it. And I thought that was great because it was talking about Star Wars. It was talking about the Han Solos of the world of, I don't give a shit. I'll go in and I'll shoot them and I'll figure things out later. And how that doesn't work if you're really trying to plan for intergalactic war success. So I really like that speech. And then later in the movie, it's kind of denied where she's like, now go get a gun and shoot him. So it's like, ideas are suggested in this film that are very interesting, but then I don't think they're followed through. And then the big sins for this on this movie for me was Snorky, whatever his name is,
Come
Emperor
on,
Snork.
don't be racist.
Oh, is it? Okay. Dare I? The Snork people work too hard. What is his name?
Snoke.
Snoke. Snoke was set up as like, what is this guy? Is it, Darth Plagueis? Is it, who is it? Everybody was excited. Just some guy. Like, so that was like, oh, all right. That kind of sucks. And then we had him. We had everybody's wondering about who Rey is. Oh, what is this? And it turns out, oh, she's nobody, which could be, if we're going to keep all of these films as the truth is the truth, Kylo Ren's just lying to her.
Or she's no one, a clone, NO-1.
You saved it. That's the Armandaris treatment, folks. And then the third thing is Luke just not caring. Those are the big sins for me, where it's just like, man, those are the things that I find kind of unforgivable. There's other things I would argue with, like if Holdo, yeah, if she knows that like we're tethered, so I can do a suicide bombing mission and blow them up. What about the 8 ships we let die? We didn't want to share this information with anybody for having one of them do it. I think Admiral Akbar's
Dude,
on.
I think that was like the last ditch effort. Like she was ready to die, and like they thought that those ships were cloaked. And when they weren't and they started getting destroyed, like it was like the only chance I have is this suicide run. And that was my favorite moment in the movie. Like it was like,
it's badass.
When it's turning, I was like, oh my God, I know what she's gonna do. And it paid off. And it was awesome.
It's a very cool moment. What I'm saying is having the 4 or 5 ships die before her that could have done that.
I don't think they could have. I mean, no one was gonna like go to light speed at the ship like at that moment, like if they didn't have to.
Okay.
I mean, I guess you could have at the end, but it was like I think that was just the moment of desperation where it was like our plan has failed. I was ready to die. I'm not letting everybody else die. What can I do? I can ram them. And I think that's why it wasn't done earlier, because it's the same thing as as Leia's speech to Poe. It's like, we cannot afford to have all these people die. So I don't think that would have happened earlier. But again, it's flawed because you look at where you started with all these ships and you end with like 5 escape pods, and it's like you're whittling down to like literally the resistance is on the Falcon, and which is an exciting moment to build to somewhere. But we saw where it went.
Yeah. The other stuff was like there were just many moments where it was like, it says the movie tells you something and then it doesn't do it, which is kind of like, Poe, you can't shoot first and ask questions later. Now get a ship and go shoot first and ask questions later. Finn is going to sacrifice himself to save everybody, and Rose is like, you can't do that, so she sacrifices herself to save him. How is that any less value than him sacrificing himself to save everybody? So then it becomes like, you have concepts, but you needed another draft. You needed another couple of months to sit down and work out how to properly explain your concepts to people, because it's in the end, if you don't, you're left with these plot holes. The other thing that I did not like in this, and it's going to get clown shoes in episode 9, is the Force now has powers never seen, which I like to call plot device Force. If we have a world where somebody has a power or something is magical, but you're writing something that you need to add to it because it's not fitting your plot of what to do. I want I want Iron Man. Iron Man's got this engine inside him that has all these powers and everything. But I would really like it if he could also teleport. So I better write that he creates a teleporter, because even though that's not anything he does, I need it for my story. And that's what it felt like with the Force powers now being able to project yourself into other rooms with other people where you could even pull things and they can take things from you. That felt awkward. Like when they first introduced it, I was like, what is going on?
The pulling things in Rise of Skywalker was a step too far for me.
Oh,
The
the Rise of Skywalker like doubles down on it. Like,
yeah,
heal ourselves. We can make sundaes with sprinkles. We can do that. Like, it's like the Force now can do anything you want. There's no limits to magic. Yay. And so
I think it was smartly laid out though for, and I know we're only talking about the movies, but I thought it was very deft of them to have the child heal the Mandalorian and Carl Weathers before Rise of Skywalker came out, because then when she heals, it's like, okay, there's this precedence. There is force healing, and we've just seen it in this other story, so it's not that out of left field here.
mhm.
Is how I felt.
Yeah, I guess. The Mandalorian is its own mess. I do like it, but it is a mess of its own.
Oh, I do not. No, sir.
All right. It's a show that's really good. It just doesn't know what it wants to be. And we're like a season in, and you need to figure out what you want to be a season in.
I'm disappointed, and this is all, like, let's save this for another day. I'm
Mandalorian
disappointed
ending.
that the season 2 preview that we got this week, in terms of like pictures from the set and like what's going to happen, is him and Carl Weathers and Gina Carano, and it's like, you just ended the season of him leaving them, and of course they had to be in it, but how the promise of the end of the season where it's like, I'm going to go and do my thing and try to find out where this kid comes from, and then they're already back in it, like to be in the key art, was like, all right, let's see. I can't wait to see what you have, but this
Mhm.
isn't what I wanted.
Yeah, we'll talk about that a whole nother time. Like, I got a lot to say, and obviously,
Speaking of this isn't what I wanted, but it was okay, let's get to Rise of Skywalker.
yeah. So that's how I left 8. I actually walked out of the theater of 8 saying, like, wow, there were some amazing moments in there, and some of my favorite. There are lines in that movie that I quote, and I don't think I can say that too much for 7 or 9. The line, the line, "Amazing! Everything you just said is wrong,"
Yeah,
is a brilliant line, and the line that got me, that like got me excited, was "See you around, kid."
yeah.
Probably Mark Hamill, like that is the Oscar shot. That is everything. Is that's a
Have
Mark.
I told you what what Harrison Ford's in memoriam shot is going to be? It needs to be.
Well, you and I have argued about this before. You mentioned
We
this back
have.
when we have. You mentioned this on
We're
Mike used
so
to have.
morbid.
Yeah, Mike used to have a late night talk show at a theater. It was a talk show without being televised. And you believe that, at least you said at the time, I think this was 2009, 2010, that uh, his moment at the Oscars would be from Temple of Doom, would be the reveal in Temple of Doom, which is a great moment.
Not that I want him to die, but it's right. Like you said, the same thing with Mark Hamill. It gives him that moment. Yeah, and it's a great line there. And the line that I love, that I also feel like is of the same page of everything I told you is true from a certain point of view is Yoda saying to Luke, we are what our students grow past. And I think that that was the message for Star Wars fans in general. It's
Yeah.
like, we aren't the stars of this story anymore. They are. And it's our job to support them with whatever they do.
Real quick before we move on to 9, because I said all the stuff I hate about 8, and I would like on the record things I did love about 8,
All right.
which is the Yoda scene is brilliant. R2 playing the "Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're our only hope"
Oof.
was like, I was like, done, go, get in the ship. He's gonna get in his X-wing and with a laser sword, he's gonna save everybody. And I was like, so I was, as soon as they played that, I was like, that is so smart to have R2 play that to him. And he even says, he's got the line, "That's cheap," and it's like, it is, and that's, these movies are cheap, pal, and that's brilliant. Um, that everything when Luke walks out into the battle, and Kylo Ren really grows as a character in 8. He so grows. Um, we I the fight after he kills Snorky, the fight with him and Rey versus everybody is the best fight of the movie. Him talking to Rey, "Let's kill it all. Let's destroy it all," is almost like Rian Johnson talking to the fans.
Yeah.
It really is. It's that moment of, and I'm not saying that Rian Johnson's the villain. I'm saying, like, what are we doing here, guys? What are we really doing? Are we going to have a Death Star every 10 years? And we're going to have a plucky upcomer blow it up every 10 years? Or are we going to destroy this and start something new? And I I left the movie going, Kylo Ren was the only one with a plan. Love you, General Leia, but you didn't have a plan. Kylo Ren did. And his plan was to kill everything and start over again. And I was like, the ideas in this movie are very rich for Star Wars, and they're it's a lot of fun. Yeah, I I I was really upset with how a lot of this movie shook out, but there were so many things in this movie that I loved. There were dumb things that people made fun of, the porgies or whatever they're called.
Mhm.
That's perfect. I love the porgies. I want more porgies.
I found one problem, not with them, but with the way that everyone is like, the Porg serve no purpose. There's nothing to happen. That could have been easily fixed. At the end, they're all standing there and they're trying to decide, we need to get out of here. How are we going to get out of here? And what happens is Finn says, what happened to all those crystal foxes?
Yeah.
And they're like, there must be a way out. Take the crystal foxes out of there. They're all standing there and they're like, what are we going to do? And a porg comes up and they're like, what the hell is that? And then they chase it back because the Falcon has already landed and the porg found its way into the compound and they chase the porg out because that's the way out.
Yeah.
Like, that would have given them some purpose instead of it
nice.
just being like they're just funny things.
Yeah.
I thought that would have been a neat little thing where it was like, what is that? Let's follow it. And then they follow it out. And then the same thing happens, the rocks and everything.
And the crystal foxes were just too weird looking to care. Like,
Yeah.
it was like, well, I don't understand how they exist.
Or
Because,
why.
yeah, or why? Because they can fit through like a crack that's big, but they're made out of crystals. Yeah, that was kind of a mess. No, I left 8 going, wow, there are two or three scenes that might be my favorite Star Wars scenes. There are 2 or 3 concepts in there that are some of the most rich concepts we ever had. And Kathleen Kennedy said many times, this is Rian Johnson was pushing for these things. So we owe these rich concepts to Rian Johnson. I will say that. I was really upset that the stuff that was set up in 7 was thrown away, in my opinion. It was like thrown away. And if you're going to throw everything away and replace it with something new, the new thing you replace it with has to either be as good or better.
Mm-hmm.
And no one can bitch. But when it's not, everyone's going to bitch.
Yeah.
So if we were going to have pizza tonight and I replaced it, with fish sticks, you better hope everybody loved fish sticks. So you cannot, You cannot. Luke is going to look at the lightsaber, and we're all expecting him to go like, "You are the one. I've waited for you for 10 years."
But too many people wanted him to be like, "You must be my daughter," and it's
Yeah,
like,
or daughter of Kenobi, you have joined me now, and we will save the world. I honestly felt this is another great. I'll do this as quick a tangent as I can. Um, in Star Wars, we're constantly reminded that there must be balance within the Force. There must be good and bad. So, taking that concept literally, so long as there's somebody on the good side of the Force that is really strong, there will always be somebody bad that's really strong, right? So I thought Luke went into hiding because he became too strong. I really was hoping that was the story. Was I found the super force where I can do 8 million things at once, and I realize me existing is going to lead to an emperor, or if you will, a snorky snork. And so I need
I
to go.
won't.
Okay. And I need to go hide. And I thought that was why he was hiding, and which is would be a better Luke Skywalker story, I guess.
Yeah, I see, and that's what I find the most loose thread that's out there is that for some reason everyone has the idea that Luke went searching for the original Jedi Temple to get stronger. And he gets there, and I like the idea that he gets there and he's like, no, I think the reason that the universe is like this is because the Jedi and the Sith are always trying to be part of this big battle, and I'm just removing myself from the board. Whatever happens, happens, and they don't need me to be there, which is kind of naive because it's like you could say that if there was no one that strong on the First Order side, but a Jedi as strong as you is leading them. So there needs to be some kind of resistance. So there's a lot of flaws to it, but it was interesting to me where they went.
And like I said, and I will stand by this till the end of my days. Had this been episode 10, this would be everybody's favorite.
Yeah.
It's following episode 7 it's the thing that undercuts it, and then episode 9 peas on it while it was being undercut, which is a good segue to go into
Yeah.
our feelings for episode 9.